Hi, traders, and welcome to the weekly market review. I'm your host, Paul. Going to look at the S&P, the Nasdaq, and some individual stocks. So let's get started, and we'll start with the upcoming economic calendar. All right, so just want to point out today, I think the market sell-off was based on this Michigan consumer sentiment. So now last week they actually had this consensus to be 77, so they lowered it at some point during the week down to 76, but it came in at 67. So that definitely caused that sell-off in a lot of things, not only in stocks, but oil went down and several items. So and it was a pretty substantial miss from what the previous was and what the consensus was going to be for this month. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, how consumers are feeling. So, and then obviously we got a really impactful week ahead of us with the data points coming out, and it starts on Tuesday. We got PPI, and then we also have, so that's at 7:30. 9 o'clock, we got Powell speaking. So that's going to be really interesting because given what the consumer sentiment just did, and then with PPI data also out, be interesting to see what he has to say. You had some Fed speakers this week already saying that they don't feel as good, or maybe not as good, but they don't feel any urgency to cut rates. I know Kashkari even said that, as long as the labor market remains strong, he sees no reason to begin cutting. So you get interesting to see if Powell has that same sentiment now. So that'll be interesting, and the market definitely is going to be reacting to both of these items. And then on Wednesday, we got CPI. Once again, for the fourth straight month now, they're calling for a decrease. So previous was 3.5, they're calling for 3.4. So last 3 months, they've had CPI going down, and it actually went up. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. Do they miss again, and CPI comes in at like 3.5 or something? So obviously that's going to move the market massively one way or the other. You also have retail sales. Retail sales expected to drop by 0.3% from 0.7 last month. So another, if they miss that much, or if it drops that much, how's the market going to react to that? With both of those coming out at the same time, it's going to be crazy. You also have New York Empire State Manufacturing Index, which is supposed to actually improve. Still negative, but better than minus 14. You got some housing data. And then Thursday, you got some more housing data, building permits and housing starts. And then you got the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, and that's supposed to drop from 15.5 down to 7, almost, cut in half. And industrial production supposed to drop from 0.4 to 0.2. So just kind of interesting that a lot of these data points are expected to get weak, and it'll be interesting to see what the actual numbers are, and then to see the market's reaction. Could be the start of something. So yeah, interesting week. Data points will definitely be playing a big part. All right, let's get on to the charts. Start with the ES. This is the futures contract for the S&P, and the market just kept pushing up. So I thought that this ABC wasn't all of the selling, because that C wave was just really massive. There was no divergence. Not that really matters, but it's just really strong selling. So I thought there would be a correction and then still more down. But this has obviously gotten very strong here, and there's hardly been any correction. So there should be a correction let me drill into the 1 hour, because no matter how this is going up, let me say, if it continues to go up, there has to be a correction, because all I really see so far is this 1, 2, 3, and then like a 1, 2, and a 3, and so it almost looks like this could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if that's the case, if that's the count, then I think that this up here was A, this came down for B, and then this is a 5-wave for a C. So if that's the count, then that could be the ABC. So like ABC down and an ABC up, and then they would come all the way down. So that's one count. That's obviously the bearish count that you could have. The other count is if it's, bulls are going to go, no, we're going up in a diagonal. This is 1, 2, 3. That was 1. This is 2. This is just 1, 2, and this is all like the C wave for 3. And so now it has to come down for a 4. So if that's the case, I would expect the 4 to come down into this 5207. Wait, no, sorry. Yeah, 5207 down to 5171 zone for 4. We have to come down in here in 3 waves and then go back up for 5. And if they're making like a really big diagonal, like if this is A, B, C, and that's just 1, at a minimum it should come down to 5193 to 5149. Could even come down a little bit farther for 2, and then head up. So this will be, I think, an interesting area to be watching, especially where these two overlap. Because you're going to be having a lot of people will, bulls especially, will be stepping in this area, because they're looking at it that this isn't going to be a diagonal, and the 4 will be somewhere in here, and they'll be stepping in to buy, and obviously the bears need to push through all of this to really sell this thing off. So with the data points that we've got coming out, I mean, we'll know on Wednesday what's going to happen here. Is either it's going to be just going to fly right through this thing, or it's going to come down and then launch off. So yeah, I would expect that we'll probably just kind of drift down into here on Monday and into Tuesday, and I could definitely see us being somewhere in this range on come Wednesday, and then the fun begins. All right, so that's the S&P. So I think no matter what, there's got to be just some type of correction on the S&P, and then when we look at the Nasdaq, it's the same thing, except it's a little like the S&P was just very strong. Like there's just that little correction, that little 3-wave, and then a decent size, what looks to be like a little 5-wave move up. We'll go back to the Nasdaq, like it wasn't as big. And so for me on the Nasdaq, this has the look of what could be like a running flat here, which means then there's a lot more upside, because then I think this was a 3-wave move. I think that's 1, and then this is 2, and then this could be like 1, 2, that could be 3, and then this is all, because this to me looks like very much just 3 waves, and then this was, as I got labeled, just an ABC, because he just had 1, 2, 3, and then a little correction up, and then so it's only 3 waves. It's not 5 waves. I can't get 5 waves out of that. I mean, that'd be, well, unless it's a super contracting diagonal, but if this would have come down a little bit farther, like into here, and it still could, I guess they've got like a 1 and a 2 going, so maybe it's going to be like a 3, 4, and a 5. And then that would be the C wave, and this would all be the 4. So A, B, C, and then this is 4. So that would be 3, this be 4, and then the Nasdaq will be going up for, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go up for that 5th wave. So that's what I'm watching on the Nasdaq. So that, just like the S&P, I only see more. It has to come down more if it is going to be a running flat, or this could be somehow that 18,348 is the top, and you got, if this is like a little ending diagonal, then you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, and if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, then this could be the A, B, and the C, just like I see on the S&P. So that's why I want to see how this comes down and then the reaction after it. So like I said, so far we only have 3 waves down to there, and then this is just really, really choppy. And it looked to me like earlier that we had like a little leading diagonal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, little correction, and then up. So that could be just a 3-wave move. So that could be like a 2, and then they'll be coming down for 3, 4, and 5. And then we got to watch the reaction, because if it's just a correction up and then they come and they break that, then it's not a running flat. And then that top could be in for a while. So need to see how this comes down. And like I said on the S&P, I think Monday and Tuesday it'll just be drifting down. And then Wednesday we'll have a really good idea what's going on. All right, let's look at some of the individual stocks. So AMD, we've been looking at this one. And this one, I think it's got a little bit more down, because this to me looks like a 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a diagonal. And then here's just a simple 1, 2, 3 correction, and then big sell-off on Friday. So if this is 5 waves and that's 3, then I'm expecting 5 waves down. Now, so far we just have, I really only see just 1. So I'm kind of expecting, I guess they could be making a diagonal coming down, like 1, 2, and then if they break that low, that would be like 1, and then they'll correct up for 2, go for 3, 4, and 5. Or they could just push back up here a little higher and then sell it off. But either way, well, I guess really need to see them break this 151.32, because I guess this could be a contracting flat. Because so far this just looks very corrective. So I think they're going to come down some more before they go up, because I still think this is all just 1 wave, and so we need a correction. So I think that could be the A, the B, and now we need a C wave before they head back up. And then after this point, then we'll have to wait and see, because there still could be 1 more down, because I still see this as just a 3-wave move coming down, WXY. So this could be just another 3-wave move, and then they come all the way back down before they head back up. So I think they got to come back down, break this 150.61, and they'll probably break it by quite a lot if this is going to be 5-wave move. So I'd wait to be a buyer under 150, and after you see 5 waves. All right, let's look at Amazon. Amazon's interesting because I see them that they completed, let me go down to 2 hour, completed a 5-wave move off of that April low. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they broke the April high, and now it's starting to sell off. And so that's interesting because, go back to a 4 hour, actually I need to go out to a daily. this I see now as a 5-wave move off of the January 23 low. So 1, 2, 3 waves up for the first wave. Here's the second wave. So it came up in a diagonal, all 3 waves, 3, 4. And then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had that correction, and now we've got 5 waves. So right now it's 3 waves, 1, 2, 3. Now I guess there's the possibility that this just gives like a little 3-wave correction and then goes back up one more time. But the potential for the 5th wave to be in is very good, which means at a minimum, I'd expect Amazon to be coming down into this box, and it could come down much farther. But if we've got 5 waves, we need a correction. And so at a minimum, I'm looking for 165 to 149. That'd be the first area that a bounce could be coming. But, like I said, it could drop a lot more. So, yeah, it looks like Amazon's got 5 waves in. Now, we don't know that this 5th wave is totally in, because this ABC could just be like an A, and then they'll give a little B wave, and then still one more up, and then that would be the 5. So, yeah, Amazon's a little tricky. Like, definitely would not be buying up here now. You got to wait for some type of a pullback. Like I said, it could be just a shallow one, maybe down into the 170s, and then there's still one more up. But yeah, I don't see Amazon having a whole lot more. Now once it gets down into like this range, then it becomes more attractive. But yeah, for me, Amazon is I'd start thinking about if you're already in, like doing something, taking profit, or start doing some type of a hedge, because yeah, Amazon's got the potential that its big 5-wave move is in. Okay, let's look at Google. Yeah, see, Google, the same thing. If I got this count right, it finished its 3rd wave, and there has to be now a 4th wave for Google to still go back up for one more wave for its 5th wave. But this isn't enough of a correction, so I'd like to see it come into this 153 down to like 140 range for the 4, and then go back up for its 5th wave. So yeah, with Google, we don't, I guess, know that this 5th wave is done. I do see 3 waves. So 1, 2, 3, and this whole thing was coming up in a diagonal. So I guess this could be, maybe this was the A, and this is a B, and they got one more to go break the 174 top, or maybe this will just be come down just to here. So that'll be A, this will be B, and then that'll be the C, and that'll complete the 5th wave. But I wouldn't be buying Google, not until it got down into this range, 53. Because even if it did give a 3-wave down to, like, let's say, I don't know, 61 or so, like, you're just not playing for a whole lot, because once it breaks 174 at any moment, then this 3 will be done then. But if it does come down in here, now this looks much more attractive to play for going back up for that 5th wave. So Google and Amazon both, to me, look like I think Google's got, a correction in up, but Amazon, to me, looks like 5 waves could be in, and it could be a pretty healthy correction. All right, let's look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA looks okay to me. There's only one pattern that I see that has it going down, and that's, this is ABC, and as it stands right now, there's only 3 waves. So like a 1, 2, 3 for 1, 1, 2, 3 for 2, and then up. So there's 3 waves. So it could be that there's one more trip down here under 756. You know, like this is ABC for A, this is three ways for B, and then they come all the way back down for the C, and then they take off. So that's really the only negative bearish pattern that I see for NVIDIA. But to me, this looks like they're making a diagonal. So, oops. You got three waves, 1, 2, 3 for 1, three waves for 2, and then this looks very corrective to me. So I think this is going to be like the A wave. Either this is the B, or they might be in the process of making the B, and then go back up, and that'll be 3. Then it's going to correct for 4, and then 3 waves up for 5. So I see NVIDIA having more up. I'm just watching this because there's a potential that this is starting to be a diagonal. So 3 waves down for 1, and then 2. Here's 3 waves down here for 3. And now so far, this is 1, 2, 3 waves. So that could be 4, and then they really sold off. And so if this comes down and breaks 882, then it gets a little iffy because we don't know if this is a diagonal or if it's like a WXY XZ. You know, so if they give us this look, you know, we don't know, is that 5 ways? So then you're just going to have to watch the reaction. Either way, something under here, I'd be buying, because if it's a WXY XZ, like I think, then we're going up to break 922 for the 3rd wave. And if it is a leading diagonal, well, then you're going to get a correction anyway. So buying under 882, I think is, you know, it's not risk-free, but that's, I think, pretty good, because it, you know, if it's a leading diagonal, then that's 1, it'll correct for 2, and then fall. So you'd be able to get out for a break-even trade for sure, I think. So NVIDIA looks good. We just don't know what's going on here. Or this could be, this 1, 2, 3, they could be going up for a diagonal. And then you do have like a little 1, 2, 3 right there. So that could be 2, or maybe they got one more drop for 2. You know, and then obviously if it goes and breaks 922, then you know that's 1, that's 2, and then they'll be going up for 3, 4, and 5 to finish that 3rd wave. So yeah, either way, for me, NVIDIA looks really good. I think there's more up, even if they drop it down one more, because then you can still play it for at least a correction if it doesn't go all the way up to break the top. All right, and Tesla, yeah. Tesla, all right, so now it's looking very weak, but I still think that they've got to go up and break this 198, because this move up after earnings, very impulsive. Like this is, right here is the only really correction here. And so I can't imagine that this is like going to be A, this is B, and then they went up for the C. Like that is a very sharp, very fast correction. So I don't think it's going to go down to 138 off of that high. Like that, I could be wrong, but I think that's just the A wave, and they're making the B before they go up for the C. So far, all I see is 1, 2, 3. So A, 1, 2, 3, B. And now it looks like we've got like a 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the next zone of importance is this 172 to 175, because if it just comes up into here in 3 waves and then gets rejected, then this is looking like a diagonal. And then that 3-wave was 1, this is 2, this 1, 2, 3, especially if it gets down into this blue box here, like at 164 or something underneath it, 1, 2, 3. Then that would be 3, then you're going to go up for a 4, and then you're going to come back down for a 5. And then Tesla's got problems, because then this whole thing, it'll correct, but there's still more down. So right where it is going to be interesting because got to see the reaction. I don't know if the low is in. If I don't know if 167 is the low yet. This fifth wave they might push it down a little bit farther, but if this is the low, then 170. Well, either way, I mean, I don't think it's gonna like push a whole lot farther down. But when it does end, if it's just a little three-wave correction, so right now it's 172 and 175. Obviously, if they push it down, then this little purple box will slide down a little bit. But if it's just a little three-waver and then they come back down, then Tesla doesn't look good. But if it can blow through this, then this just looks like an ABC correction and should be heading on up to get at least near 198. Doesn't necessarily have to break it. So yeah, for Tesla, there should be a correction, at least a correction, and then just watch the reaction, because if it gets rejected, I think Tesla's got some problems. All right, so that's what I see on the market in those stocks. I hope it helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your likes and support. Have a great weekend. I'll see you in the next video.